Needs to go. What the hell? What's up guys, Brandon here from Gearist. Today we're going to be going in depth with the tribute from Topo Athletic. You know, we really like to see a good underdog story here at Gearist, and I'm not saying that Topo is an underdog at this point, but they are a small brand that has been making small moves, and they're the right moves, and they're not using a bunch of hyperbole and ad tactics. What they're doing is making a solid product that performs exactly the way that you'd want it to, that is super high quality. And as many of their other shoes, once again the Topo Tribute has come out in a super lightweight, zero drop package, which a lot of people are really gonna like, I think. So let's start talking about it. While we typically wait until later in our running shoe reviews to talk about the weight, I think it's worth mentioning right up front, because this thing comes in a size 11 at a nice, comfortable 7.6 ounces, 7.2 ounces, and a men's size 9, which is a great thing that influences all the other parts of this shoe. As you can see with the outsole of this full contact platform shoe, Topo's done a nice job of putting rubber where it needs to be and leaving it away from where it doesn't need to be. Now these green and black sections you can see here are the high abrasion areas, so you're going to probably have some wear here in this heel, and they actually take this up quite a bit, which is nice, but I'll talk about that in a second. And then up here again in your toe area, it's a really nice thing that they're shaving and saving weight off of this shoe by not putting a bunch of rubber or full coverage or anything like that, because this is a pure road shoe after all. One place I might like to see a little bit more additional rubber is right here under kind of the lateral midfoot, and the reason for that is, as you can see, with only about 40 miles on this shoe, I've got a little bit of wear because this is exposed EVA, all this white section. It's not a ton, it's not accelerating, but that is pretty much the biggest place that I notice any wear, really. So it's a very durable outsole, but again, a little bit right there would be nice. Through this 4mm thick rubber, there are nice flex grooves carved, particularly right up here. You can see these guys right there, and it makes for a very flexible platform all the way front to back. I mean, you could ball this shoe up, even in the heel. I mean, it's just a really very flexible shoe. Still gives you a lot of pop, but I love that flexibility that's built into this thing. Again, with about 40 miles on this, and based on the wear that I'm seeing on the rubber sections, I would expect to easily get about 450 miles out of this. Now, again, if you're somebody who slides in, has kind of a sliding gait where you land on the ground like that instead of cleanly down on the ground, you're gonna wear this off, or any shoe, you're gonna wear it down much more quickly than that. So it's really dependent upon your gait as to how many miles you're gonna get out of it. But I would imagine I could get 450, 500 miles out of this pretty easily. Moving into the midsole of this shoe, this is a single density EVA, which has only 7mm of stack height. So that's 4 plus 7. So we've got 11mm of stack so far. I'll talk about the rest of the stack here in a second. What I really like about this, as opposed to going for multi-density EVA, like putting something softer back here as a crash pad or something like that, or messing around with this, Topo really wants to have a consistency of foot function across the shoe. So they're not going to put those things in different places and try to manipulate how the foot is going to land and act in them. As such, this is a single density EVA where they've really made sure to have a very consistent feel across that platform, making it so that when you land, you know exactly what you're getting front to back in this shoe. Jumping the gun just a second on the upper, the sock liner in here, that footbed right there, that adds an additional 5mm of stack height for a total of 16mm of stack height, which is nice and pleasantly low. And again, it's a zero drop shoe, so 16mm here, 16mm here, zero drop. Moving into the upper of this thing is a super lightweight construction. In fact, let me put my hand in there. You could probably see my fingers right there. This thing in places is actually like you're not wearing a shoe at all sometimes. That's how open it is. And again, that is part of what makes this a pure road shoe, because if you wore this on trails, you'd get debris in there like crazy. Nice roads, nothing to worry about. Lest you think that this super lightweight mesh would compromise some durability in this shoe, fear not! Because Topo has done a nice job of including a buttload of 3D printed overlays on this thing front to back. Starting at the toe cap, I mean, this toe cap is rigid enough with just this 3D printing, its reinforced overlays, to make some trail shoes jealous. I mean, it's really very impressive, and underlaid by some knurling and some rubber and things like that, just all the way back here to the heel counter, which is very nicely flexible. But again, these things are very durable. I didn't find any durability issues with this upper at all. Granted, I only 40 miles on it. So if you've got durability issues, let me know down in the comment box below. The amount of foam in this upper around the collar here and then on the back side of the tongue, which you know can be a pet peeve of mine, is pleasantly low. There's enough foam in there to make it very, very comfortable, but not so much as that it pushes the foot around and just has too much weight. It doesn't make any sense. In this, it is perfect. Super, super low volume. And on the back of the tongue here, it keeps the foot nice and protected. Now, the first time I put this shoe on, and actually a few times after that, the tongue felt short. It didn't feel like it should have come up to maybe here, but it's all the way down here. Now, this is not a big deal because here's a caveat to that. The padding and where it stays in position well on the foot keeps me very nice and comfortable. I didn't have an issue. It's just kind of one of those things where I was like, trying to pull it up a little more and it didn't want to go. So fear not, if you put this on and you feel like the tongue is too short, it's not a big deal. It doesn't affect anything at all, and it actually gets out of the way of the foot quite a bit. And with the upper, one thing I'm curious to see is how much people with a super hard toe off, how much they're going to beat the shoe. Because I've been really, to be honest, amazed at how some people can beat the crap out of a shoe just by really hammering down and toeing off really hard. I don't do that. I tend to get to about here and just lift off with my leg, you know, like you're supposed to. But I'm wondering how many people might just wear through this. I don't think they will really, because it's nicely reinforced. You can see these are all right at these flex points. The upper is nicely reinforced by those overlays. But again, you never know what some people are capable of doing. As with all Topos that we've reviewed in the past, the fit of this guy is so nice. Starting at the back of the shoe, this semi-rigid heel counter, which is kind of rigid-ish down here at the bottom, it's actually pretty flexible overall. Does a nice job of cradling the heel. I really love the way that this fits. And again, since you don't have extra foam pushing your foot forward or anything, you get to really lay back into that heel counter. Moving into the midfoot right through here, I love the way this fits. It's a nice amount of cinch down. Like I can really get my foot nice and locked in there without having to over tighten, because that's one of the things of this, if we look at it from the bottom, is this kind of not narrow but narrower waist of the shoe to be able to really make the foot be really nice and kind of held in there. That said, if you have a wide foot like a 2E or something, you may want to look elsewhere. While the toe box is great, I'll talk about that in a second, I don't know that the back two-thirds of the foot, or the shoe rather, is going to have enough room for you, but it's certainly worth trying on if you can get your hands on a pair. Then there's the toe box, which is one of Topo's calling cards to be sure. As you can see there, nice and foot shaped. Really, really love it. Plenty of room for toe wiggle and splay, and that super open mesh makes it very comfortable, lots of airflow. I will say that if you plan on wearing this shoe outside in the winter time and have a tendency toward cold feet, you may want to look into some neoprene socks or something like that, because this mesh is super open. This makes it a great summertime running shoe or treadmill shoe. I like to run it. I've run in it in 30-degree temperatures and didn't have any problem with it. But, you know, if you do, again, have that tendency toward cold feet, that's something to consider. Regarding the ride, I've said this before, and I think it's worth mentioning again. This shoe and a lot of Topo shoes, the ride is very quiet. That is the best descriptor that comes to mind. Now, rather than some of those bouncy foams that are kind of the trend among some places lately, and we don't mind them, but in this case, what they've done is, again, made that really a consistency of feeling across the shoe, so that the agility, what you give to the shoe, is based on what the foot wants to give to the shoe. They're not trying to influence the foot and make it do this, this, or this. They're really trying to make sure that what you want out of the foot and the shoe you can get. That being said, the ground feel is spectacular. You're definitely in touch with every single thing that's going on. And the agility of the shoe, because when you come around a corner, you put that foot in there. I mean, we always feel like we can turn a corner really nicely in bare feet because our bare feet can feel the ground so well. There's no difference in this. But what is the Tribute good for? That's a great question. Before I answer that question, why don't you take a second to give us a like and a favorite of this video real quick. You can do so just by clicking that little like or favorite button down there. Thank you so much. Now, what is it good for? Well, I think that if you want to go long in this, like a marathon, you could do that pretty easily, in fact, because a lot of people run it in less shoe than this, like barefoot and things like that. I think you could do a marathon in this, definitely. It's going to take training. As with anything, it's not about just jumping into a shoe and being like, hell yes, let's go for it. No. This is about training. So if you wear this as your training shoe or another Topo that's pretty minimal, this is going to be a no problem shoe to run 26.2 miles in. That being said, I think that most people are going to be more comfortable in this as 13.1 and under. I think this is a great 5K shoe, really pretty zippy. They do have a Speed Trainer 2 coming out from Topo, so that would kind of take the place of that. But this is a pretty zippy, nice lightweight and open shoe that I think could go up to a marathon if you wanted to. As I said at the outset of this review, I think that Topo is a company that is making very well thought out and deliberate steps throughout the running industry, no pun intended. They're really going very much in detail with their target audience and not using a lot of jargon and hyperbole to try to sell a shoe. What they're doing is saying, hey look, you got feet, these make feet work better, put them on. You know, it's something where they want the runner to be the key aspect in enjoying this shoe, not necessarily the shoe. And that approach is certainly refreshing. The Topo Tribute is yet another shoe from this Newton, Massachusetts-based brand that has again impressed me with its lightweight, confident feel and not overpowered cushion. It's really something that doesn't make your foot disappear, the ground disappear to your foot. And another big point for this shoe is that it comes in at $100. Topo is not trying to be a boutique brand that is sticking the price to you to offset their costs and things like that. They're really going out of their way to make people get into their shoes because they want runners to be happy. It's not about jacking the price to make sure they're getting the right margins. This is a great shoe at $100 that anyone can afford, anyone can get in, and anyone would be happy with. Before the question of the day, again, please don't forget to like and favorite this video, but our question for the day is, have you tried Topo Athletic running shoes? They've been around for a while now and we want to know. If you have, or if you haven't, let us know down in the comments section below. Thank you guys so much for spending a few minutes with us today. If you've got any questions about this video or for our Ask Gearist segment, don't forget to either email info@gearist.com or leave a comment down in the comments section below. We would love to hear from you guys, love to answer your questions, so please don't hesitate to reach out. As always, if you'd like to follow us on all our social media outlets, you can do so right over here, which includes subscribing to this YouTube channel, which you can click that little button right over there. It will subscribe you automatically. Guys, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us today, and we will see you next time.